We're making bakery-style pistachio muffins with chocolate chunks and a vanilla glaze on top. They're protein-rich with Greek yogurt, vanilla protein powder, and almond flour. And they can be made gluten-free or not based on your preference. Hello, my name is Nicole Bonilla, and if you love healthier recipes to our favorite foods, then you are in the right place. Now you're welcome to jot down these ingredients as we go along, or you can click on the link that's in the video description below. And that will take you to the full recipe with all the details, including nutrition facts, ingredients and substitutions, and frequently asked questions. Now to make these really easy muffins, we're gonna start with our mixing bowl, and we're gonna add our wet ingredients. So I'm gonna start with 1/3 cup of plain Greek yogurt, and this will add a little protein and moisture. Next we'll add 1/3 cup of avocado oil. You could also use light olive oil. Next we'll add 2/3 of a cup of cane sugar. You could also use regular sugar. And then we're gonna add 1/4 cup of milk, and you could use any milk that you like. 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 1/4 teaspoon of almond extract just to enhance that nutty flavor, and 3 eggs. And then we'll just whisk this together till well combined. Next we're gonna add our dry ingredients, and we're gonna start with 1.5 cups of almond flour. And I love using almond flour because it enhances that nutty flavor and makes the muffins extra moist. Now the almond flour won't give as much structure, so we need to add an additional flour. So we can either use all-purpose flour, or if you'd like to be gluten-free, you could use a gluten-free flour blend. So I'm just adding 3/4 of a cup of some all-purpose flour. Now a secret to adding even more of that nutty flavor as well as protein is to use a nut-based protein powder. And this is our favorite because it's naturally sweetened and organic, and we love the flavor. And I've included a link in the description below if you'd like to check it out. So I'm gonna add 1/2 cup of vanilla protein powder, and then we'll add 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder and 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. Now if you'd like to add a little pistachio green color to your batter, you can just use some food coloring. I just have some organic green and yellow that I'll combine. So I'll just squirt in about 1/4 of a teaspoon of green and about 1/2 as much of yellow. And then I'll just whisk this all together till well combined. And for the chocolate chips, you can use any variety that you like that meet your dietary preference. So we're gonna add 1 cup of some chocolate chips, and then I'll just stir these in with my spatula. To bake the muffins, I've just taken my muffin tin and then lined it with some paper liners. But you will want to spray it with a little bit of non-stick so that the liners will come off your muffin. And then we'll just scoop this very thick and delicious muffin batter right into our muffin cups, and we'll fill them up almost to the top and allow it to mound a little bit in the middle. And this is gonna give them that nice high dome that looks like they came right out of a bakery. And now that we've filled all of our muffin cups, we want to add our pistachios. So I've just taken 1/4 cup of some peeled pistachios and putting them on my little cutting board here. And then I'll just come in with my knife and do a nice quick rough chop on them. And then we can just go around and sprinkle them on top of the muffins. And then I like to come back in and add a few more of my chocolate chips right on top, because no one in my family has ever complained about having too many chocolate chips on their muffin. Well, these look so good and they are ready to be baked. Now you have the option of giving them a heat boost, which is going to help that high dome form. So we're going to put them into a 425-degree oven, set the timer for 5 minutes. Once the timer goes off, we're going to turn the heat down to 350 and then set them for about another 12 to 15 minutes. But you will want to keep an eye on them starting at about 10 minutes just to make sure they don't overbake. You just want them to be nice and golden brown around the edges. Well, here are the baked muffins that I took out of the oven and then allowed them to cool just long enough to be able to take the muffins out of the pan and then transfer them onto this cooling rack. And I put the cookie sheet underneath it so it can catch all the drippings from our glaze. So to make this really easy glaze, we're going to add 1/2 cup of some powdered cane sugar to a bowl. You can use regular powdered sugar. Then we'll add 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and then 1 to 2 tablespoons of milk. So I'm going to start with about 1 tablespoon, and then I'll just start whisking it together, and then we can check the consistency and see if we need to add any more milk. And we just want it to be nice and pourable, so that is perfect. And then I'll just take a spoon and then drizzle it right over the top. Oh my goodness, that looks so good. Now, if you could use more healthy inspiration on a regular basis, I invite you to join my email list. All you have to do is click on the link in the video description below, and that is the best way for us to stay connected. Now, you will want to let these cool completely before you eat them, but thankfully I have a batch I made last night, and these are ready to enjoy right now. You can see how light and spongy that muffin is inside and full of chocolate chips. But for my first bite, I'm going straight for the top. That was a very good idea. That It is delicious. As soon as you bite into that moist, fluffy muffin, you instantly get this really earthy, nutty flavor, which is coming in from the almond flour and the nut-based protein powder. And of course, the best part is getting those chunky pistachios on top, and with that little bit of sweet glaze is just amazing. And I love that these are made with clean, natural ingredients, which means I'm gonna feel just as good even after I eat it. And I want to thank you for joining me today in my kitchen. I have included the link for this full recipe, and it's in the video description below, and that takes you to my website, gentletummy.com. And I also invite you to like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And I cannot wait to have you join me again in my kitchen.